You heard about what's going on with Meg Thee Stallion, correct?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know everything that's going on though. People are speculating about a lot of stuff. Either way, it highlights the importance that is always highlighted in pretty much every television show, every interview, every movie, Empire, anything. You got to have a lawyer, and you got to have a lawyer that knows the intricacies of like contracts. Contracts be difficult.
Yeah. When she said she didn't, I don't even know what's in my contract. I was like, wow.
People can completely read a contract and still and be well read.
Yeah.
And just you don't know what's going on.
That legalese, man.
You don't know the legalese. You don't know the terminology. You don't know all this other kind of stuff. So there are plenty of lawyers that will say like, yo, I'm not delving in that realm because I don't look at that stuff. Mm-hmm. So if I don't know that stuff, then I'm not going to. So it highlights that. Like, I hope, all parties are able to work out what they want to work out because I want an album. I like to hear a big album.
Oh, I thought you were saying you want an album yourself. I was like, nigga, you want to rap or sing?
No. I want to make the Stallion album. Yeah. I don't want to get out there and rap.
I want to make the Stallion album too.
Y'all don't want to hear me rap either. So
not at all.
It is what it is.
You'd have some bars.
Nah,
I'd ghostwrite for you.
I got nothing. Can you ghostwrite?
I can ghostwrite.
You should be out here doing stuff. Why don't you get back into producing? That way we can take failed producer off your thing.
No, I'll get back into it, but I'm going to keep failed producer up there. It's just interesting.
Oh, that makes it. Oh, okay.
I got you. I like that.
It's a marketing thing.
It's a marketing thing. It's
all
cool.
Marketing.
You said what?
I said it's all marketing.
It's all marketing. There's no publicity. That's a bad publicity unless you're R. Kelly. Because his future is black and ugly as ever. However, messed that up.
You messed up the whole thing.
Yeah.
You messed up the whole thing. I'm going to lobby back.
You don't have to because we just finished.
Okay, well, never mind.
Black History Month. Black and ugly as ever. However, I stay Houston down to my socks. It's Avery Like a Very Nice Guy, also known as, Avery Like a Very Nice Guy. Avery Like a Very I know I did it. My bad.
It was so good.
I'm sorry, Jonathan. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all right. That was our fault. That
also
was
known
fault.
as Carlton. That's my fault. Also known as Carlton, Carlton Banks. Our studio producer, Jonathan, is great. Like, we never say his name.
All of our studio producers. We got Jonathan. We got Mike. They make sure that the videos pop up when we need. They make sure the names are going.
Yes.
They switch all the cameras.
For real.
They make sure to switch the cameras off of me when I'm drinking water.
Yeah.
Like,
because we just
all
we do is talk. We ain't got no talent.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Also, once again, I'm here with the co-host, my brother, Jess Devon.
That's me.
Yeah, Jess Devon. That's you.
Thank you.
One of the best on air personalities that I know, and a writer that I know as well. Shut up! Don't do it.
I know. I wasn't gonna say anything.
There you go. You're just gonna let me love you. That's it.
No, it's happening. It's all right.
That's a good thing. We have a special guest in the building. All of our guests are special, but today we have a very special guest in the building on the pod today. We've had various guests, from singers to rappers, producers, actors, and even people running for office. Following that tradition of esteemed guest, we have an officer of the court, an actual real lawyer. Devon didn't pass the bar. So
I came close.
You came close.
One of them times. I don't know which one
probably
it was.
Did.
But, it was on one of them times.
He did.
What is it when you graduate from law school but you don't? Which one is? One's a lawyer, one's an attorney. It don't matter. I can't do nothing for you. But continue.
He can guide you to a lawyer.
I can definitely guide you to a lawyer. I can let you know, like, yo, call this number.
Yeah, you can tell him. You can tell him. You can send him to the guest today.
Yeah,
all right, because he specializes in a lot of things. Specializes in business, organization, and entertainment law, personal injury, criminal law, family law, but that's not all he does, all right? Okay, he's a former mock trial legend, a Clark Atlanta graduate, a Thurgood Marshall graduate, just like Devon, but this man passed the bar. He's a former
really taking them digs.
I know. It's funny. I love you though,
because you're to succeed at the level of my failure.
Hey man,
like you have to.
I love it. That's so true. You have to. Succeed.
You have to do better.
You have to.
To reach my heights of failure.
You have to achieve something to fail at that level. And that's what he rides it in stride. But yes, also he's a former college and lifestyle clerk for the biggest entertainment label in the world, Universal Music Group. Former president of Sports and Law Entertainment Law Society. Former clerk to the Judge Belinda Hall, and a former member of the Lakewood Church legal team. Also, an entrepreneur, movie producer. Go see River Runs Red. Chairman of the Foundation for Black Heritage, also a chairman of the board for the Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone 26. That's Sunnyside. All right, Rodney Jones.
Sunnyside.
Yeah, but I want to say the technical stuff.
Okay.
All right, Rodney. His name is Rodney Jones, y'all. Rodney Jones. It's just coming straight from his website.
What up, y'all?
Yeah, Rodney Jones. He didn't become a lawyer just to win cases. He became a lawyer to bless people and make a change for those who cannot do it themselves, man. Rodney Jones, once again, give him another round of applause.
Appreciate it, man. What up, fellas?
All right.
Thank you, man.
Man, that is
appreciate you coming out.
That's a hell of an introduction,
Man,
brother.
also, I'm sorry. I forgot one thing. The best Christmas party.
I was about to say.
I totally forgot. That's
So
how I met him.
Last time he sent us a text. He goes, "Hey, you want to come out to the Christmas party?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, we'll come out," because we were trying to get him on as a guest. He's like,
Yeah.
"Yo, stop by." I thought it was just gonna be like, I mean, I'm not saying lawyers can't party. They can because they drink a lot. But
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, okay,
That'd be
this
better
would be
than
a cool little thing. And it was big. And it was great. Like, I was like, yo, I would have been so mad
Yes.
if I had have stayed home and then looked at this on Instagram or
my
something
goodness.
later. I'd have been
I
mad.
saw it on Instagram.
A lot of
I was
people said
there.
that.
I fell in love 9 times. I was like, I follow her and her and her.
I think it was a free liquor, man. Free liquor.
It
brings
was a lot of it.
everybody out.
It was a
Yeah,
lot.
free
of
liquor
it.
does. Free food and liquor.
Nah, but it was a good look, man. Bunch of good guys came together, man, and we, Kevin Murray, a couple other guys, man. We try to reach out to the city, man, and it all came together, man.
No, it was great.
We had a good time. Everybody said they had a good time, so we're gonna keep it going. We're gonna keep the tradition going.
So this is going to be an every year thing.
Absolutely.
That's
Hopefully it's gonna
great.
get bigger and bigger.
Okay.
I
So
mean-
we could come every year?
Absolutely, man.
It's documented
Man,
on camera.
I'm glad because I sent Devon the invite. I was trying to get to everybody, man. I think I sent it to you the day before. I was
Yeah,
like,
he really did. I was
Yeah.
like,
Like,
and I was like, I don't know. I
Yeah.
said, maybe we'll come through. And he was like, maybe we'll come through. I think Tresha was like, I'm going to go. I was like, okay, I'm going to go too.
Yeah.
I said, a few people we knew were like,
Once
I'm gonna go. I
Tresha said she was
I
gonna
said,
go,
okay,
I was
okay.
like, it's gonna be
okay, let's
fun.
let's go check this thing out. And it was,
it was a bunch of traction, man.
great.
It was the greatest.
It was great. It was great. Was that for a good cause? I want to say, like,
It was
like,
for a good
okay,
cause.
what
man.
was the cause? Because I don't remember what it was.
Suits for Success, and we always make sure that we're giving back, and so we were raising money to get suits for some of the young men that are not able to get suits for jobs and stuff like that.
that's
So every
great.
year we'll do a different charity, and yeah.
That's awesome,
So,
man.
yeah,
so
yeah,
philanthropists, we could add that to your
Absolutely,
long
man.
list.
Philanthropy's on
Of
there.
that's
Absolutely.
awesome,
That's the
man.
most important part, bro.
That's good. Giving
Yeah.
back to the community.
That's it, man. That's
And
it.
these are when we're talking about the community, we're talking specifically Houston. Where are you from?
I'm from Houston, Sunnyside. Sunnyside. Well, I was raised between Sunnyside and Southwest.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. So let's just talk about like upbringing. When you're, growing up, was your plan on let me be a lawyer? Like
No.
at what point? Okay. So what did you want to do when you were coming up as a kid?
Man, believe it or not, man, I was just I was always had an entrepreneurial spirit, man. I was that kid in the neighborhood that's, selling lemonade, cutting grass, washing cars in the summer. Always had some type of business going on. And so ultimately that's always been my primary passion. I even consider myself now, I'm a lawyer, but I consider myself more of a businessman with a law license. You know what I mean? Because that's just where my heart is, man. I'm always thinking about new businesses, new opportunities, how to get out there. I think law was one of those areas that kind of brought everything together for me. You know what I'm saying? It gave me some tools under my belt and, it allowed me to take my business ambitions to another level. Yeah, kind of put everything together.
No, it's not bad. It's not bad.
Yep.
So at what point did you decide? Like, we're in college. We're in law. At
Nah,
what point
so
did
it
you
was
say,
a-
I'm going to go to law school?
It's funny, man. I actually, just to kind of give you a little backstory, man, I was at Clark Atlanta University, And I'd actually transferred to Clark from a school in Miami called Barry University, which was a white school, and got to Clark, and you got Clark, Morehouse, Spelman, ITC, you had Morris Brown. I mean, it was a whole different culture shock, you know what I'm saying, and seeing that many black people at the same time. And so I wanted to, I was a sophomore when I transferred over, and I was just like, man, I need to do something to touch all these people. And, it's funny because my college roommate at the time was the editor-in-chief of the Panther, which was the school newspaper.
Okay.
So he was a dope writer. And it's funny because in Atlanta, everybody coming through Atlanta, so everybody would stop at Clark Atlanta to do an interview. So he's my roommate. I'm seeing him interview Michael Jordan, Denzel Washington.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like cats, everybody. We interviewed Kanye before he was just producing. I mean, it was just everything. So it was funny because so I was like, man, we need to do something. And so what we ended up doing is I was like, man, let's start up a magazine. You're a writer. I can do the business. So we ended up starting up a magazine my sophomore year at Clark Atlanta, and it ended up growing to be one of the largest collegiate magazines in the nation. So it went from just the CAU to the AUC to over 550 college campuses around the nation, man. From
what was the name of the magazine?
It was called Look Magazine.
Look Magazine.
Look Magazine, from Harvard University to Howard University. We were on every campus, man. So I set up distribution deal through Barnes and Nobles at the time and Ingram Publishing, and end up getting it on to every campus. So it was funny though. But while we were on the AUC side, just locally in Atlanta, because Atlanta has like 17 different colleges, so that was really our market. It was funny, man. I got an email from I can't remember. I can't remember. There was some major conglomerate media company, like, you guys are infringing upon the famous Look magazine from the 1950s, and I'm like, man, we some college students with a damn paperback magazine, and so that kind of gave me some interest there. And actually, my mother ended up going to law school when I was in high school, so I knew it was there, but it wasn't something that I aspired to be. But my business acumen through the magazine, it ended up getting me with a lot of different record labels, because I was in Atlanta at the time when, Grand Hustle, BME, BMF, Def Jam South, all that stuff was really booming. Yeah. And so I kind of became the go-to person for these record labels to do all their marketing for the collegiate demographic. And so that kind of got me into the business, into the entertainment industry. And so alongside the magazine, they were advertising with us, but I was doing all the street team promotions and all that kind of stuff. And so fast forward, got out of college, still kind of pushing the magazine, but now just kind of entering in the world of business. And, I was around a lot of different artists, and, I was kind of giving them little advice on business, and people were like, man, you a lawyer? I'm like, nah, but it was something that was nagging in the back of my mind. Like, I need to take my hustle to another level. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I was at a point where I had a bunch of the magazine, I had a bunch of other businesses, and I was feeling like I was at that point where I was a jack of all trades, a master of none. Yeah. You know what I mean? You know those older cats, 50 years old, they doing well, but they hustling they got to hustle. I didn't want that for my life, so I was like, you know what? I need to master something, and so I was between getting an MBA or going back and getting a JD, and so. My mom was like, yo, you can get an MBA. It's going to take 2 years. You go one extra year, you get a doctorate. It's like, yeah, that's true. So I was actually on a tour with Kirk Franklin doing some marketing and work for him, and we were doing like 5 or 6 cities a week. I was in and out of hotels, on the plane every day.
Now, this was back when you were working. Was this with UMG or
no? I didn't get on with UMG till right before law school.
I feel like that's a huge jump.
Yeah, he did gloss over. I was going to go back to that.
Yeah, so I was on tour with Kirk Franklin.
And all of
and I was like, wait a minute. How'd you land that? Let's back up.
Okay, so let's back up. So actually, because of the magazine, I started getting in good with a lot of the record labels, all their marketing departments. Okay. And so I was doing a lot of their street team work, and then I started doing a lot of their collegiate demographic consulting. And actually I started working with like Ford Motor Company, a couple of different companies that wanted to reach out to the collegiate demographic, because that was a part of the magazine. Like, we had to sell ads. Yeah. So I'm talking to these marketing companies and like, look, if you guys are going to be putting some marketing money somewhere, you need to be putting some marketing money around the next generation of leaders. Like, you got people right now that are incubated in college, but they're coming out and going to be making money. So you need to be building that relationship with them right now.
Yeah.
So it ended up going from there. So, from doing that with the record labels, I ended up doing some work with BET, and then there was another company called the Gospel Music Channel that had started up, and so they put on this tour. Kirk Franklin was a headliner, so they had me go on and basically be the marketing person for each city, making sure that all of our sponsors for the tour, that were Kirk was doing the stage mentions and kind of just doing that, and then promoting this cable network at the same time.
That's huge.
So
man.
yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
So it was like, man, I was traveling, man. I got a chance to see, and I'm fresh out of college at this point, and I got a chance to see the
What
see
is
the
a
world.
gospel tour like, though?
Oh man, it's crazy.
You think
bro.
about tour life, and they talk about tour life.
Bro.
What is a gospel tour? Because Kirk Franklin, he's a gospel artist,
You
but
gonna,
he's
you gonna tell the truth?
He's also, I mean, he is also Kirk Franklin.
man.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Kirk-
funny, man.
yeah.
Everybody, all of them got groupies, man. I remember.
Yeah, I'm
I
sure
come
they
out
do.
I come out from backstage, man, and it'd be a line of chicks in the back in the green room, like, you know what I mean, like, and I'm like, y'all waiting on Kirk? What y'all doing? Y'all here waiting on Kirk?
Yeah.
What time is it? Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, but I mean, it was fun.
Makes
man.
me
It was
clap
fun.
my hands.
Yeah, exactly. Stomp my
wanna
feet,
dance.
man.
Stomp.
Rain down.
So you're on tour with Kirk Franklin, and
I
you-
picked up an LSAT book, bro.
Oh, okay. So you're
picked
just
up a
like, yo, I'm
LSAT
out
book,
here.
like,
You pick up the LSAT book.
LSAT book. If I do it, I picked up an LSAT book, started reading through it, and ended up, took some time and sat through the test, and I didn't do that well, and so I was actually sitting on my scores for a minute, bro, and just was like, all right, I'll take it again at some point. And then after I got off tour, was like I was saying, I was, had different businesses and doing some stuff, but that it was still that nagging in the back of my mind. Like, and I'm one of them type of people, I hate the what ifs or wish I woulda, couldas. And so I actually, man, I said it, I went ahead and put the package together. I said, man, I'm not taking this again. I'm going to use it. And, I'm going to send off. And I only applied to TSU. Right, I only applied to TSU, and I said, "Man, Lord, if this is what I'm supposed to do, I'm gonna apply. If I get accepted, I'm gonna drop everything and I'm gonna go. If I don't get accepted, then you got something different for me out here." And so it was funny, man. I didn't tell nobody that I applied, and I applied and ended up getting accepted, and then I dropped everything, bro. I dropped everything. Everybody in the music industry was like, "Man, you crazy? Like you kind of making your foray, you doing this." And so I dropped everything, man. Went back to law school, man, and I promise you, the first couple of years, I was like, "Man, did I make the right decision, man? Like, should have got that MBA, man. This shit is crazy." Can I cuss? I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can. You good.
Yeah, you curse.
All right.
It's okay.
So, yeah.
I mean, Kirk might be mad, but that's
I know,
about
right?
it. That's about
I
it.
know, right? Yeah,
But
so-
so you make, and that's a big step to say, like, hey, you're at I'm pretty sure you have mentors and
I did,
coworkers and staff and things like that are like, hey, you're at the beginning of something. Like, you had the #1 magazine
Yeah.
for that demographic,
yeah.
and now they're starting to see because I guess the other thing we like to point out with a lot of our guests, and I think when we talking to at one event, he was the vice president of Finish Line,
Yes.
where he was saying there's a lot of students, especially our students, don't see that there's so much value in being able to express what the public wants or what certain demographic wants to these major companies, because like they don't know.
Yeah.
They have no
It's like
idea.
it's a boardroom full of people just
Full of
sitting,
people, yeah.
and they have no idea how to sell because they have no idea how
Bunch
to
of
talk.
old people.
Yeah.
How
Exactly.
to talk to the demographic.
Exactly.
And so,
Yeah.
that's a huge thing where they're like, there's so much value in that, and you have that
I had
value
that-
at
I
that
had that
point.
value at
So
that
it
point,
is
man.
that thing where it's like,
But
they're
I
like,
was-
why are you walking away?
But I was also matriculating from the college demographic to now the young professional demographic. You know what I'm saying? So by this time, I might have been 2 or 3 years out of college, and the same stuff that was going on campus wasn't my wasn't in my interest anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And so I was kind of like matriculating and like, what is the next step? So, you know, it was good. I think the magazine launched. It gave me exposure and access to a lot of different things, and you know, everything. It had its season, but it was a stepping stone, or I guess a launch pad for what was next. What was the next chapter?
That's positive, man, because a lot of people in your position, they would have started a record label.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
yeah,
would have started a record label.
yeah.
My biggest thing was I remember like in law school, because I was writing for Ozone, like all hip hop, like a couple other things, and every once in a while they send me somewhere. Like I think I had to interview Bun B one time, and I'm like, I go, and then I look up, and I'm like, Rodney came. I'm like, what's Rodney doing here?
Oh yeah,
he was like,
I forgot about that. Yeah.
He was running all the stuff. I'm like, I
forgot about that.
I said, that's dope. Now I know somebody over here. I'm like,
Dang,
what's
that's
up?
crazy.
For real.
That's crazy. I do remember that. They were doing like a album release.
Yeah.
And it was funny because man, we was in college and in law school, and literally, man, we were doing signings for different artists that would come in. I remember we broke some stuff for Justin Bieber and some other stuff. I mean, it was a bunch of different artists. But man, I was on autopilot on that side, man, but really focusing on the law side, bro.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
So, and then you're talking, because you said UMG came during law school.
Yeah, so I guess right at the beginning of law school, you know, I'd had those relationships, man, because it was funny. Even while I was doing the magazine, I had one of my boys. We were while I was in college, and I think he was interning at Interscope, Geffen, and all that. And so I was like, yo, leave the back door open for me. Let me because I needed to get in there and sell ad space, right? So I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, let me in there, man. Just you ain't gotta show me around, none of that. Just let me in there. It was funny because I was young. I didn't have any inhibitions. So I was like, man. So I would end up in people's offices, and at first they like, man, security. How did How did you get in here, bro? And then I just get to talking to them like, look, this is the magazine, blah 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 blah. So I end up building a lot of relationships. Doing that, and that's how I end up selling those ads and kind of getting those relationships in the music industry. So when I started law school, mind you, I dropped everything. Me and my girl at the time, she moved back and we got married, and I needed some money, man, and so I was like, I reached out to a couple of people and was like, I'm still in this, I'm in law school, I need something, and so it was like we got a perfect position for you. At this time it went from the street posters and the street teams to now getting different people on each college, campus. And with the boom of social media, getting them to start posting up music and talking about what's hot, because this is around the time that everybody's understanding that, the artists that we're looking at are people that are, going viral. And like, this is Justin Bieber. This was Drake. Yeah. Drake came out when we were in One L's.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
when Drake came out, I didn't even know he was Drake. I remember they were playing him. They played him somewhere, and I was like, "That's a nice little Lil Wayne song."
Yeah.
I remember when they played it, I was like, "Dog, Lil Wayne, he got a little melodic flow on this one." Yeah. And then I kept seeing that. I was like, "Nah, it's a kid named Drake." And then he did that show at Warehouse Live,
and
I was like,
"Yo!" And he dropped that mixtape. That mixtape was crazy.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, it's over."
So yeah, man. So then that was it. So it was perfect because I was reporting to, the cats in L.A. and I'd have to go out there every once in a while, but I ain't really have nobody over my shoulder, man. It was just like, yo, here's the projects that you're working on. This is what you need to do. This is how you report it back. And I was getting a check for it. It wasn't a big check, but it was enough to
sustain,
give us some McDonald's, while I'm
Okay. Okay. So you're over there at UMG, and then you finish out law school.
Finished law school.
All right.
Yep, finished law school. And even during the process, so, it's funny, I always thought that I was going to end up finishing law school and going directly out to California and take the bar and try to start practicing entertainment law full-time out there. But during law school, I was, learning everything, man. So I interned my first year. I think I interned with the city. Second year, I did some work with a family law and a personal injury firm. And then my third year, I clerked with Judge Belinda Hill, who was a criminal lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of got a good, grasp of a little bit of everything, what I call now survival law, which I did when I first came out. And so I was actually planning on taking the California bar first, and one of my teachers was like, "Nah, you studied here in Texas. Take the Texas bar first,
Okay.
and then if you pass that, then you can go ahead and go to California." But by that time, I had my daughter, my second year of law school. So, by the time I graduated, man, we were so broke, man. It was time to get paid, bro. So once I passed that first Texas bar, I was like, I got to hit the ground running. Maybe at some point I'll go take the California bar. 8 years later, I'm like,
there's still time. Life is long, brother.
Well,
right.
There's always still time.
It's never too late. Yeah.
Keeping in mind, though, since that, if we're going to back up even before law school, since college up until this point now, the entertainment industry has gone through a huge change.
You don't even have to
where,
say
that was
you're at the beginning when it's just like, even you launching the magazine is kind of like the beginnings of you can be this person and you can launch a magazine and still hit demographics that you can't get, and then it just kept changing to where now it's
changed.
Yeah.
Well, because also too, it's like when we came out in 2011, the music industry had dropped. It had just plummeted, man. We didn't, it was the digital downloads, and they didn't know what to do. Nobody was buying albums no more.
Streaming wasn't popular at the time.
Nah, man, people was losing their jobs left and right, man. The music industry, was just horrible. So too, that was another point where it's like, okay, my plan was that, but that's not. It ultimately bounced back a little bit, but at that point, it was probably at its lowest in 2011. You know what I'm saying? So
because people forget, it literally went from there was no concept of really buying. I feel like my generation of people are coming in. There was no concept of really buying stuff online like that.
No,
like not buying the music. Like I told people, the last album I bought was Common, like Water for Chocolate. I was like, this is the last one. Man. And then I went to stealing. Like we was downloading every. Allegedly.
Yeah.
So everything could get downloaded. Selling CDs, just had hard drives and stuff, full of stuff,
movies, everything.
It wasn't until literally, I was like, why are people even paying for this?
Right.
But then
allegedly, this man had literally everything.
To
the point where I had to admit, I'll be on my Google Play, and I'm like, people be like, "Yo, Aaliyah's her catalog, it's never come out." I'll be like, "It's not," and I'm like, "What's on my?" Oh, that says in my library. Jay-Z when he's like, "I'll put Reasonable Doubt on everything." I'm like, I've been had it. Like,
I remember I was selling random Tupac CDs too, because I was like, "They was like, oh, you got." I was like, "You got
Rap
Machiavelli?"
Phenomenon.
I'm like, "I got Machiavelli 1 through 15."
you made the poet and the player.
I was like, "Nah." I said, "I'm telling you, they all out here." But that is one of those things where it's like now. That's completely adjusted where you don't necessarily have to live. Like there are points where I do feel like a lot of people, like, if you're trying to do movies, you're probably going to take a flight out to LA. You're probably going to take a flight out to Atlanta. You want to go out to New York. Money's there. But you don't have to reside there anymore.
No.
So that is one of those things. I guess what eventually made you decide, let me just stay here and kind of build out entertainment and my other practices here?
Well, what's funny, man. So, like I said, I came out, my ultimate goal was to do entertainment, mostly entertainment, but I was representing a bunch of different artists just because I'm from here, man, and so a lot of people knew me. So I had the relationships, and I was building kind of my practice while I was in law school. And what I mean by that is kind of putting those fillers out, letting people know I'm in law school, I'm about to come out. And so people was contacting me, and so by the time I was out in official, people were reaching out, "Yo, I got this cat over here doing this, I got this cat." And so it's funny, I started representing cats and different producers and artists and stuff like that. And then I spent a lot of time in criminal court with them. You know what I'm saying? And child support shit. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. My album's dropping, but I also.
Right. I caught this gun charge over here. And I did this. And, so by this time, man, I'm not turning no money down. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to handle that. And so, I call that survival law because, between criminal, family and personal injury, it's lucrative. So, excuse me. So, I started doing that, and then I was doing entertainment work. I was helping, some of the up-and-coming record labels get their paperwork together and different artists. But it's funny, you guys started off with Megan Thee Stallion.
That's why we got you on.
And that situation.
Well, that's not why we got you on, but this is random. This is going to come out well after, and I hope when this comes out, whatever
It's
that situation is resolved.
It's worked out.
But
and I'm not going to talk about
that.
the details of it, but it's just the mentality, man. I'll be honest with you. It's like, I don't know what it is in Houston. A lot of artists had this independent mentality, and just did not handle the business as they should have. And so, believe it or not, man, I'd have so many artists that would end up in my office like, yo, we were sitting back, we did this song, now it's on the radio, it's big, but we ain't got no paperwork. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, and we got to go chase down the money. Mm-hmm. I had a lot of artists that would come in and be like, hey, I signed to this artist for little to nothing, and, they ain't doing what they said they was trying to do. I'm trying to get out of the – and the thing is none of them read the contracts. None of them wanted to do the business.
Yeah.
And so I kind of got burnt out with that too, because I'm like, it's only so many times, like, I'm going to chase your money down and I'm going to tell you how to do it next time you do a song, and you still not doing it. And it's kind of like, man, I don't have time to continue to go back, because a lot of times they don't really have the money. We got to go back and chase the money and do it on a contingent. I'm like, nah. So, it's that mentality that, and here's the thing, just to kind of, give some credit. A lot of times artists, they want to be artists. They don't want to deal with the business aspects of it.
Yeah,
and so if we cool, I feel like you know what I'm saying, got my best interest at heart. You buying me a couple outfits, you know what I'm saying, you putting a little money in my pocket, and we going to rock out together. But, that's not how this business works.
No.
And so, they'll get this contract. They don't even, 10-page contract. They don't understand nothing in it. And they just signing like, all right, let's go. And so from there, I mean, it always ends up going bad. And then even in Meg's situation, I kind of saw how some of that stuff was going on, and then I knew when Rock Nation came in, it was going to kind of stir up the waters, and now things are getting exposed, and you signed here, these artists, this label did so much for you, and now you want to do this and take your career to the next level, and you kind of being held. And honestly, outside of that situation, that's kind of been a Houston.
It's kind of par for the
man.
course.
Yeah,
I mean, I think it is one of those things. I mean, like I said, when we were opening, I think the biggest thing too about contracts is, I mean, contracts are just saying how we're going to deal with each other.
Right.
Like how we're going to deal with each other. And I would say too about getting an experienced attorney, it's just your experienced attorney is also going to know about the various situations that can pop up.
Yeah.
In terms of us dealing with each other.
And
so it's like a marriage.
Look at it.
Like,
It is.
We're getting together, and it's like a marriage with this is how we're going to handle it. If this happens, this is what I want to happen. If this happens, this is what I want to happen. If this happens, good or bad, just going straight down the line. And it's kind of funny how people get 10, 20-page contracts. Like, look, the writing's there for a reason.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it,
but like you said, it's legalese. A lot of times artists don't have the money to go and hire their own attorney.
Okay.
And so, they're looking at it. They're like, okay, well, they're really going off of the feel-good relationship that they have with that person. You know what I mean?
Well, just asking, what do you recommend that one would do if they don't have the money for the attorney? Because, I mean, it seems like the number one thing that you should do when you're making a record or you're trying to get in the music business is the first thing that you should do now is get a lawyer, correct?
Right. Well, what should happen is sometimes the artist is getting signed to a label. Talk to the attorney and say, look, this is where I'm looking at going. And out of whatever you're getting as an advance or whatever your promise or that needs to be negotiated in that, you make sure that that lawyer gets paid based off of that.
Okay.
Not every lawyer is going to be willing to do that, because if you don't have the time, like, me when I was early getting started, I'm hungry, so I'm like, yo, I need to, I need the money, right?
Money now.
But now it's like, if in certain situations, it's a little bit more difficult. But I think that's what you need to do. You need to talk to some attorneys and try to figure out who will work with you, especially if an attorney or a manager or anybody believes in your talent, then they're willing to stick with you and try to help you out through that process. Okay. But even on the record label side, for me, when I would draft contracts, and even when I do it now, I will have a full conversation with the label and really get an understanding of what it is that they're trying to do, what their real intentions are, and then at that point, I mean, I don't have to put all that legalese in the contract, right? Because, if you the more simple and plain you write a contract, it's just clear and it's good business. And so therefore, a lot of times an artist won't, because sometimes you'll put that 10 pages in front of them and they get scared by it.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't want to sign it. You know what I mean? I don't want to sign that.
Okay.
So to make it easier, it's like, this is the contract. This is simple and plain. Sometimes I'll have them actually bring the artist into my office, and I'll let them know, look, I'm not representing you. I'm representing the label, to be very clear that there's no conflict of interest. But this is what this contract says, and I want you to go and get whatever legal representation that you need, or get somebody else to look over it. But I wanted to be clear that there's no hidden terminology. There's no real no loopholes in this. That this is where we're trying to go, and I think it's all in the vein of good business, man. You do good business, everybody understands what's at the table, like you said. Exit strategy, or this is what happens when the money comes in, or this is how you recoup back this advance that you're getting. Yeah. It just makes everybody more comfortable, and then you can do business for a long time. Ultimately, that's the goal for me.
Because everything's different when money comes in, and like I said, especially with the record label situation, when you start out, usually the record label is in a much better position than the artist.
Right.
And if an artist gets any kind of cachet out there, now the artist is like, well, now I feel like I'm in a better position than you.
Right.
And I mean, that's what I feel like is going on with the Megan situation.
Yeah, that's what's going on.
She's saying in the video, she's like, I want to renegotiate. I want to sit down. I want to renegotiate.
Well, also,
whether that's going to happen or not, I don't know. But artists have done it before. They definitely have been like, yo, that you was talking to me when I was broke.
Yeah, exactly.
You was talking to me when I was this person. Now I'm this person, and we got to look at what this is, because what I can bring to you now is a lot different than what I could bring to you before. And so we want to change up things, and your label can decide the same, because your label might push back and be like, hey man, what you can bring to me now is what I was planning for you to do the whole time.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it just really depends on how that is,
Yep. I mean, they hit a lotto ticket with Megan, and I think that once she realized the level that she was going to, and the different markets that she was going into, then I think her mentality was like, okay, I need somebody with more of an advanced understanding of the music industry. I mean, Carl Crawford was a baseball player, right? And I don't know who all he had in his camp, or has in his camp. But at the end of the day, she obviously thought, well, okay, if Rock Nation, they manage that, they're in this space,
absolutely,
and it kind of goes, both ways. But you're right, man. I mean, it just comes down to that paperwork. I saw Jay Prince jumped in it, and so. It's gonna be interesting.
Jay Prince, I mean, he's responsible for what contract in the music industry. He knows something about contracts.
Yeah.
He knows good business.
You
read his book.
He has good contracts.
He's
he's got some really good attorneys around him too.
Yeah,
so,
he really does.
A lot
he
of
has
these
the
guys,
best
man,
attorneys
some
around.
great attorneys around him, man.
So I mean, who knows what happens to that? Hopefully, it all gets rectified. It'll get rectified. There's way too much money on the table.
Oh yeah,
for it to be like, yo, like I mean, it's arguably one of the top. I mean, in terms of female rap, in terms of rap in general, when her album drops, it's just guaranteed.
That's true.
Right.
So that's just one of those things.
Guaranteed
gold.
gold.
But if they blew her up and they put the money initially to get her to that platform, man, they got to make sure they carve up their
and I guess that's one of the things where it's like, that's why you want to have your contract dictating what this is, because in the beginning, when there's nothing, it's all love.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, like it's very difficult to be rational once we get to the point where we're arguing. Like
That's
now
true.
it's like, now there's money on the table. It's like, and then you start looking back and it's like, I did this for you. I did this for you. I did this for you. You did that, da-da-da-da-da-da. And then it's just back and forth. But if we can always go back to the contract and be like, look, this is what we said.
But
if this happens, that's what it is.
That's the history of the industry, man.
Yeah.
Bad Boy went through it, Cash Money, all
Oh,
that, man.
man.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Yeah.
They all did.
It's
I think
interesting.
Mason out of
Mason still. Mason still. But it's funny about that, even the evolution of the perception of Bad Boy. At one point, people was definitely
Everybody.
like, yo, Diddy is out here stealing from all the artists. I think it might have been Styles P.
Yeah.
I think that was like, hey man,
Through the chair.
we was kind of wilding when we was throwing chairs at Diddy.
Yeah.
Like
Jada,
we
everybody.
read the contracts, we saw what it was,
Yeah.
and then we felt away when money got spent.
Yeah.
You talk about, you see the thing between
You hear it with like a lot
Beanie
of
and Jay.
Yeah,
where
a
he's
lot
like,
of rappers.
yeah, I got the million.
Yeah.
But
I had a Bentley.
You know
I
what I
had this.
mean?
It's like, yeah, you read it. You was poor at the time, but it's like, I think now we've learned to, instead of buying that gold chain and that car, like investing in your talent and investing in the right management and a lawyer can bring you like so much more money. I mean, like I said, guns and butter, and
treat it like a business.
yeah, people
yeah.
was buying.
You should
butter the
treat
whole
your
time.
art. You should treat like your art like a business. And keeping in mind, like, I mean, I'm biased. I'm on Meg's side. Like, I'm a big like, yo, like,
Oh, I am
make
too.
them, like make this work. Like,
Yeah.
y'all know what it is. There are points when artists might grow beyond certain things, and it is what it is. But I totally understand as a small label. Or I'm not gonna say they like just a tiny stuff, but I'm like, as a label, you still want to be
I
like.
didn't even know who that label was. You said it right. That's fucked up. But it's true.
But it is
a
one of
small
those things where it's
because
like-
when you're used to getting $10,000 a show, now you're getting like $250,000. I'm like,
But
now
I
we gotta
feel like
change
in the
my-
record,
yeah.
as people are growing, you're always trying to figure out that balance. It's kind of like if I'm a manager of an artist, and they're growing and they're growing. You
Yeah.
hear there are certain artists or sports players and things like that that'll take their management with them. LeBron's notorious for
Yeah,
that. Like
took his boy.
I took my boys with
Yeah,
me
it's
and
his
I
team.
taught them
Yeah.
as we go.
Yeah.
And he got a lot of backlash from certain people in the industry. Like, why are you just hiring somebody new?
Yeah.
And there are other people that are like, yo, I'm getting the new person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get it. You got me here, but this person can get me there. And that's kind of up to what y'all are talking about as y'all are coming up.
Right, and how y'all go through it.
And it's best to put
Yeah.
that stuff on paper.
And you may have to bring somebody else on, but
Yeah.
you keep your same people and let them learn from
Yeah.
that. So that way, because I mean, if you got a good team that you trust, then it works like that. But it all goes back to like those 360 deals, right? Y'all are familiar with
Oh,
the
yeah,
360 deals?
yeah.
So the 360 deals, I mean, that's how a lot of that stuff changed within the industry, because the history was like when Soulja Boy and 50 Cent, they had this record deal, but then they started stepping off in the 50 did the vitamin water deal and
the
did
shoes
the
and
movie
all that
then,
other stuff.
yeah, and then Soulja Boy writing books and doing all this kind of stuff and putting stuff out there, and the label is like, yo, we spent all this money making y'all big, and we're just making money off the records that
Yeah.
you selling, but
Now
you're a
you got
celebrity
G-Unit
now,
clothing?
right?
Like,
yeah,
yeah.
now you got all this ancillary products, and it's a business.
I felt like that was the labels getting greedy, though. Because I also feel like I
Well-
get it, where it's like you're now at the point now where you have a lot more stars, and literally just because of the internet, you have a lot more stars that are able to sell themselves as a brand. Whereas before, it's like, yeah, back in the day, it's like, who's selling stuff? It's like Michael Jackson. He can sell stuff.
Yeah.
The rest of y'all cool. Like, y'all sell y'all's
Yeah.
music.
I didn't
but
buy
you
it.
ain't
Yeah.
getting the Pepsi ad.
but
now
now
it's
The
like,
Lionel Richie shirt. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
but now it's like, yo, all of y'all can sell something. As a
Yeah.
matter of fact, it got to a point where it's like, not only can all of y'all sell something, y'all's main focus is selling stuff. Like, you get artists now that's like, yo, I'm not even pushing this
that's
music.
Go to Macy's.
Well,
Yeah.
that's a difference in what's happening now because of, like I said, social media. Like
Yeah.
back then, labels were still spending millions of dollars on videos and
Yeah.
all this kind of
yeah.
stuff, right? So they had a huge budget putting people out there, and so and it wasn't the social media jump now, but now artists don't need a record label, right?
No.
So with social media, they can end up catching a buzz, turning around and leveraging those followers to sell T-shirts, to sell everything else. And because, be honest with you, like you said, music is free now.
Yeah.
Right, everybody's on Spotify, Apple Music, paying $9.99. Nobody's buying albums anymore.
No.
So the value of music is really a promotion for what else you can do. You're back in on your tours, your shows, but you can jump online and put out a T-shirt, or you can jump online and do all these different things and don't have to share it with the label. So then now when we turn around and so now, mind you, these major labels that can get you on the Jimmy Kimmels and all this kind of stuff, what I end up doing is if I have an artist like that, now you've already leveraged your following and you're making money off of that. Now when I sit down with a record label, we're going to determine and carve out this partnership, right? Because now if you don't have any experience in putting out clothing or whatever the product is, we'll sell us on why we should partner with you.
Yeah.
And instead of it being something where we're taking a smaller percentage, this is how big it is already. With your push and with your stretch, I mean, it could grow bigger. So then let's determine what that percentage split is going to be, and let's make it make sense. So, I mean, I can kind of argue it on both ends from a record label perspective and an artist perspective, but it all comes down to artists have a lot more leverage and a lot more power right now.
Yeah.
Because of the social media. I mean, labels used to have camps where they would train. What they call that?
You talking about like A&R stuff?
Well, no, where they would actually kind of train artists on how to be artists. You know what I mean? And now it's like they're taking the artists that are already out here. They got a pub, and they're like, "Let us jump on your wave."
That's what it is.
You know what I mean? Let us jump on your wave and then take it further.
Because artists now, I think you would be looking more at who can I partner with. Because I don't need you to necessarily break. You don't have a lot of record labels breaking artists.
Breaking artists, yeah.
Like you don't have record labels that are like, "Hey, let us get this out to you." Like, well, you got people launching off of TikTok.
Yeah.
Like they're literally like, "Yo, I'm here. I've already got. I live with my parents still, but 1 million people follow me."
Yeah.
So now, if I want to sell something, I got 1 million people that follow me. I just don't know how. And we've spoken to artists that are like that. Like, yo, I got 1 million and a half followers. But now I'm trying to figure out how do I even monetize that?
How do I monetize it?
So I can't just say, like I've tried, go buy this, but that don't necessarily mean nothing.
And that's where it comes into that having that leverage is a good thing to start with. You may not have the money, but you got that leverage, and you get a good attorney that says, "Hey, well, okay, let me help you monetize this, and let's work out a deal where it makes sense for everybody." And because you got to get a strong team, But there's so many platforms now where it's people making millions off of YouTube, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's so many different. I look at my kids, man. They sit there and watch. They don't even watch Disney and all that no more.
Nope.
They're on YouTube, bro, and just every 2 minutes they switching to something. I have to leave the room because I'm like, man, I was just getting into that. Let me.
I feel you. I
I
watch
the
YouTube.
attention span just flip off. They'll flip to the next
exactly,
something. It's made. It's made.
I'm
for
notorious for that. He watches TV. I'll be like, I don't even watch that, man. I watch YouTube. Watching something 30 minutes that's a big commitment. YouTube.
I'm old.
YouTube they will gain your trust. They'll go from 5 minutes to 7 minutes, and then you'll be like, 22 minutes, I'm happy. But I'm like, damn, man, Family Guy? 22 minutes? God.
Yeah, man.
wanna do that.
Space is changing.
Now
man.
people will still watch movies though, which segues into our next section.
Yeah.
All right.
Man.
So eventually, at a certain point, you get into. I mean, you help to produce a movie. Like how do we even get involved in that?
You know what is funny, man? Because like I said, I was on from music, and I always wanted to kind of get into the film side of it, and I was getting a bunch of little scripts and stuff, getting presented to me, but they were kind of at the infant stages, and I didn't feel like they could actually produce it. But this particular film was written and was going to be directed by some brothers that actually came out of Thurgood, right? And so they were sports and entertainment lawyers, and ended up going and had a real passion for the film industry, and decided to start writing films and producing films. And so when the opportunity came to me through Kevin Murray, which is another had the Christmas party, good dude, but he got his hands in a little bit of everything like myself. When it came to me, this, Tay Diggs was already locked down, George Lopez was already locked down. They had already kind of started filming, so now they just kind of needed some more push, some more finances to kind of get the film done. And so I read the script. I mean, it was a great script, and so I was like, this is a great opportunity. One, it's a project that I would stand behind. I think it's a great script. It's a great movie concept. It's current to the time right now.
I mean, let's talk about the concept. So
Yeah.
this movie is called
River Runs Red.
River Runs Red.
Yep.
And the premise of this movie.
Yeah, so just a brief synopsis. Tay Diggs plays a judge, right? And his son was about to start his first day at the police academy, and on his way to the police academy, ends up getting gunned down by a road cop. And so Tay Diggs, thinking because he's a judge, he's going to be able to get justice for his son, and ultimately it doesn't go that way. Some political things happen, and the police officers get off, and so Tate Diggs and George Lopez, and George Lopez played. This was his first dramatic role, and he played a father whose son got killed by these same cops. And so Tate Diggs and George Lopez teamed up and took the law into their own hands, and it just touched me because, we had been, we're in such a tight area right now in our society with police brutality. And ultimately, when we see these cops getting off and we see this happening, as black men, as fathers, underlying, we have that mentality of like, man, do we need to take law into our own hands? You know what I mean? And then this kind of shows what happens. But yeah, so it was a good concept. And again, the brothers that was doing it with Thurgood alums, some brothers. And then a big part of it too is, man, if you see it right now, we're in such a point where there is such a hunger for black content, right? You know what I'm saying? We're at a place where, you saw how well Wakanda did and Black Panther. Everybody knows.
I mean, but you got Black Panther, you got
Photograph,
the Photograph, Issa Rae. That new
Yeah.
movie with Issa Rae, and I definitely want to go see that.
Yeah, I saw Issa Rae and that wasn't a Photograph?
No,
there's
she
another
got two.
one. Yeah.
She has
Oh,
the
she got another one.
Photograph, and
Okay.
she has another one that's like more of a comedy.
Oh, okay.
That's
okay.
coming out, but they both
Gotcha.
look great.
Yeah.
Everything Tyler Perry's doing. I mean, there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
now.
So it's a need for black content, and so I thought this was a good way to kind of dip my toe in the water, really understand the workings of it, and so now through that process, I started my own film production company. And
Now, what's the name of the film
slowly-
production company?
It's called Real Royalty Films. So real, like a movie, real, REEL, Royalty Films, and so. And it's funny because I actually came up with that concept probably around the time of law school, like 2008. And I had gotten the logo drawn out and everything. It was kind of like one of those vision board things. And, ultimately it came to fruition 10 years later. But, it came to fruition.
The
And
right
so,
time.
It
It's
happens
all
when it's
about,
supposed to
it's all
happen.
about timing, man.
So, what would you say is the biggest thing about, what are some of the new things that you're getting into or you're learning from stepping into the film industry?
Well, there's things like such as tax credits, like you said. In Houston, a lot of people were so awed by it because it's like, one, you're producing a film here in Houston. I mean, we shot it somewhere else. We shot it actually in Louisville due to the tax credits.
Yeah.
You know what? But let's back up. Let's talk about the tax credit
Yeah.
thing, because a lot of people will say things like, Houston got space, or Austin got space, or such and such got space.
Yeah.
How come people aren't filming movies here?
We need that. Yeah, we need the tax credits here, and it creates more of an incentive for filmmakers to bring the films here.
Because that's why people act like it's just around all the time, but that Georgia,
Yeah,
like
that peach.
Georgia,
That peach,
that
yeah, when you
was
see that
not
peach-
around
Yeah.
at first. Like everybody was filming in like Los Angeles,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden, so Georgia started giving out tax credits,
And that was that stamp. Like,
Yeah.
you got that tax credit, and then you filmed it right there in Atlanta, and it brought a lot of people, and that's where it got the name Black Hollywood. It brought a lot of people out there to start filming. And you see these studios, what Tyler Perry is amazing, and there's some other guys that are creating some studios out there too. Louisiana has it, so hopefully soon it comes to Texas, because we do have a lot of space to do things here. But that kind of comes from lobbying and getting down there in Austin and them kind of opening the doors for that to happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, that starts off with people just knowing. Because, the more people that know about this, because you get more people down here, you get more jobs, you get more opportunities. There are definitely an argument, like there's arguments for and against tax credits. But the whole thing is you're still wanting to get business coming into your state.
Yeah.
And this is the movie industry is just, it's a viable business.
And then also too, it's like, it brings more, businesses that, because they need these tax credits for the money that they're making. And so it's just like here, people are like, oh, you invested in a movie and this, that, and that. Well, yeah, I wanted to get involved in it, but two, I needed the tax break too in certain areas. So, these are things that have been done by our counterparts in LA and New York and other places, and now we're finally, like I said, it's black films, black content. why aren't we a part of it? Why aren't we supporting it? Why aren't we? And a lot of times it's because we don't know enough, and we're, it's a scary game to jump into. But once you kind of start seeing it and seeing it done successfully, then it'll start getting more of us to start putting some of our dollars by being able to tell our own stories, right? Yeah. So
now, what are the plans now? Are you planning on getting into more films?
Yeah, so actually I'm in the process now. I'm working with a brother named Alan West out of Miami, who is we're actually putting together a 4-part docuseries called Foster Dreams, which is going to kind of expose some of the issues within the foster care system, right, with the opioid addictions, the sex trafficking, the homelessness, the things that take place there. So I'm excited about that because, I operate in that space so heavily. I do a lot of adoptions, and I work with CPS kids, and I get a chance to mentor and represent these kids. And so, man, some of the stuff that I see, this is going to be cool to just kind of, and so it's different from a film. You're seeing a lot more of these docu-series where it's a 4-part, hour-long series that kind of tells a story and kind of gets you into that into the world of different areas. And so I think foster care system, a lot of people know it, but it doesn't have a face. Yeah. It doesn't have a reality to it. I don't think people have just been exposed enough to it. So, I'm excited about that, man.
Because people have a different perception. I mean, maybe from what little we see on TV of what happens in the foster care or in the adoption system. And until you start speaking to lawyers and CPS caseworkers and things like that, then you're like, oh, this is a much different
it's
thing.
much different, man. I see some of these kids and what these kids go through. And probably less than 1% actually hits the news, man. But these kids have gone through so much. They've been through more at 8 years old than a lot of us have seen, our entire lives, man. So
it's unfortunate.
Yeah. So being able to expose things like that, it's just I'm not. I think it's going to be one of the areas I'm not changing from being a lawyer or entrepreneur business to now being a total film producer, but when I have opportunities to be able to shed light on different things, and if it's something that makes me feel good and I want to put some time and money behind it, then I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. Okay. Now, we plan on doing anything more in the music? Or you're just gonna have your hands in everything?
Hands in everything, Doc.
Hands in everything.
Hands in everything. I mean, yeah, that's kind of been my mentality. I know what my core areas are, but that's one of the reasons why I became a lawyer. I wanted to be able to have the flexibility and the freedom to be able to get involved in things when I had a passion behind it and saw something that I wanted to do. So, I do real estate. I have a title company that I opened up about 6 years ago. And it's funny because I'm like, people ask, what do you do? And I'm like, you can rattle off a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, it's
man,
like I'm just doing a bunch of stuff.
A bunch of stuff, man. Yeah. Now, I was always taught, man, rat with one hole is a dead rat, man. So you got to have, in this day and age, multiple streams of income.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I guess the other thing is, what has kept you here in Houston?
Man, I love Houston, man. Houston is home. And then, believe it or not, man, I feel like Houston, it's a special time in Houston right now, man. You know what I mean? I was in Atlanta late 90s, early 2000, and that's when it was considered the Black Mecca, right? Everybody, you've been in Atlanta, and it's hard to meet people from Atlanta because people from New York, Chicago, and all that. I feel like that's Houston right now. Like I feel like, we're supporting our businesses. I look on Instagram and I see that line wrapped around Turkey Leg Hut, and I love it because it's like we're supporting our restaurants. We're supporting our professionals. I could have went and been a lawyer in L.A. I could have went and been a lawyer in Atlanta, but I think those areas were already so saturated.
Yeah.
But, what it meant to be a black lawyer here in Houston was totally different than what it was in those areas. So, Houston is kind of slow in certain respects, but I think that there's a tide that's changing. I love what's happening out here. I love the vibe. I love how everybody's coming together. Everybody's winning, and there's so much money to be made out here. But it's just, we got a huge culture out here, man. Absolutely. Everybody else has been capitalizing off our culture except for us. So yeah, man, I don't regret that. I thought that I needed to go somewhere else initially. By fate and God's grace, he kept me here. And so, you know, I don't plan on going nowhere. That's why I just travel so much, man.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Good take a vacation, but always come back
I
home.
gotta come back home, man.
Yeah.
Always ready.
Well, you got to be here next year Christmas because of the party.
Yeah,
That's
exactly,
true.
exactly. I
The
got at least
party's
always
the
come back
party's
for
definitely
Christmas.
gonna be
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna do a little something different. It's only different because you're the first person we've had that's been on here that has like the full movie. You're not the first person that has a movie, but
Yeah.
you know you got the
Yeah.
movie trailer. We're gonna end off playing the trailer. If you haven't, because this is out now. I mean, this came out in theaters.
Yeah. It came out in theaters end of 2018.
Okay,
It's on Stars now.
so yeah,
Okay.
pick it up on
Pick it up
Stars.
on
It's on,
Stars.
yeah, it's on
AKA
Stars now.
The
Yeah,
50
yeah.
Cent Curtis Jackson
Hit you-
Network.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in the future, by the time this comes out,
it's on
it might
demand.
be
It might be.
there.
Yeah,
But yeah,
it's
this is definitely on demand. So we're
on
going to end
demand.
off. We're going to play that. And we thank you for coming out.
Thank you
Man,
for
I
coming
appreciate
out,
you
man.
guys, man. I had a good time.
All right.
House coming up, we live by code. You take mine, I take yours. Police, play by those same rules.
Hey, yo, Pops, why don't you let me take the beamer out this one time?
You'd like that, wouldn't you?
What's going on?
CJ's first day at the academy.
You're gonna do fine.
Sir, I know you finished the investigation.
Registration.
I'd like to know what you plan to do.
Gun!
I'll speak plainly. Based on everything our investigators found, the officers involved would not be charged in any way.
It's us and them, Mary. It's always been us and them.
It's right and wrong.
They say CJ had a gun.
You have access to all the internal files.
Let me see what I can do.
My son got shot by the same officers who shot yours.
Why would you show me that?
Sorry,
Why shouldn't I shoot you right now? Why shouldn't I drop you?
You could. Or you could ride with me.
Stop.
I have a son. He's 6 years old.
I have a son.
That was awesome.
That was dope. All right.
Man.